the Elves, and the Shoemaker. Once upon a time, there lived a kind shoemaker and his gentle wife. They lived in a small, quiet village where everyone knew one another. Every day, the shoemaker made shoes and took them to the village market,
Here you are, sir.
hoping someone would buy
I hope
them.
they serve you well.
But lately, fewer and fewer customers came by, and no matter how much they tried, they grew poorer and poorer. At last, the shoemaker had only one small piece of leather left, just enough for one final pair of shoes. That evening, he carefully cut the leather into neat pieces and placed them on his workbench.
I will sew them in the morning.
Tired and worried, the shoemaker and his wife went to bed, hoping for a better day to come. Early the next morning, the shoemaker went to his workbench as usual, but when he looked down, he froze in surprise. The leather pieces he had prepared the night before were gone, and in their place stood a beautiful pair of shoes. They were perfect. The stitches were neat and tiny, the shape was smooth, and the leather shone as if touched by magic. The shoemaker called his wife over. She gasped softly.
Who could have done this?
The shoemaker shook his head and murmured,
I don't know how this happened, but these shoes are more beautiful than anything I've ever made.
Since they needed money, the shoemaker carefully wrapped the shoes and brought them to the village market. Soon, a customer noticed them. He picked up the shoes, eyes wide with delight.
These are the finest shoes I've seen in years.
Without
These shoes are
hesitation, he paid more than the usual price. Enough for the shoemaker to buy leather for 2 new pairs. Full of hope, the shoemaker bought the leather, returned home, and cut out the pieces for 2 more shoes. He placed them neatly on the workbench and decided to wait and see what would happen next. The next morning, the shoemaker hurried to his workbench. Just like before, he stopped in amazement. The leather pieces he had prepared were gone, and in their place were 2 perfect pairs of shoes. He called his wife again, and they stared at the shoes together.
This is truly a blessing.
The shoemaker nodded slowly.
But who is helping us?
They brought the shoes to the market once more. The shoes sold quickly, and the buyers praised the fine craftsmanship. With the money they earned, the shoemaker bought enough leather for 4 more pairs. That night, he cut the leather as usual and laid everything neatly on the table. His hands trembled a little, not from fear, but from hope. Before going to bed, his wife said gently,
If this miracle happens again, Hag, maybe we should try to find out who is helping us.
Tomorrow night, we will stay awake and watch.
Hand in hand, they blew out the candle and went to sleep, wondering what the morning would bring. The following night, the shoemaker and his wife did not go to bed. Instead, they lit a small candle and hid quietly behind a thick curtain near the workbench. The room was silent. Hours passed, and the couple waited, hardly daring to breathe. At last, when the clock struck midnight, the door creaked open. 2 tiny figures slipped into the room. They were little elves, no taller than a child's arm. As they entered, they sang in soft, cheerful voices.
Tip-tap, quick and light, working happily through the night.
Without saying another word, the elves climbed onto the workbench and began their work. Their fingers flew like the wind, cutting, stitching, hammering, shaping. They worked so fast and so well that the shoemaker and his wife could hardly believe their eyes. Within a short time, 4 perfect pairs of shoes stood neatly on the table. When the elves finished, they giggled softly, joined hands, and danced around the room before slipping out the door again. The shoemaker whispered,
So, it was them all along.
They have helped us more than we can ever say. We must find a way to thank them.
The next morning, the shoemaker and his wife sat together at their small table. They talked about the elves and how much help the 2 elves had given them. The wife said softly,
They only wear thin, fragile little clothes and, they must be cold.
We should make clothes for them. Yes. They have worked so hard for us. It's our turn to do something kind for them.
So that day, the wife brought out her best cloth and began to sew tiny shirts and trousers. She added small coats, little socks, and even miniature scarves. Meanwhile, the shoemaker used his finest leather to make 2 tiny pairs of shoes soft, neat, and shiny. By evening, the couple had finished everything. They placed the little outfits neatly on the workbench, right where the leather usually waited. The wife smiled warmly. She said,
I hope they like our gift.
The shoemaker squeezed her hand.
They deserve it.
At night, they hid behind the curtain once again and wait for 2 elves. Soon, the 2 little elves slipped into the workshop, humming their cheerful tune.
Tip tap, quick and light, working happily through the night.
They hopped onto the table, but instead of leather pieces, they found tiny clothes, neatly folded and shining in the candlelight. Both elves gasped. The first elf lifted the tiny shirt. His eyes sparkled.
Oh, this is the softest shirt I've ever touched.
The second elf grabbed the little trousers. He twirled around with delight.
Look, perfect fit, just my size.
And they each tried on their tiny coats.
I feel like a proper gentleman.
Next came the tiny socks. They pulled them on eagerly.
My feet feel so soft and warm.
Finally, they slipped their feet into the small shoes the shoemaker had made especially for them. The elves stomped, tapped, and spun in circles.
Marvelous! I can run faster than a bird. And I can dance forever.
Laughing, clapping, and showing off their new outfits, the 2 elves held hands and twirled around the room in joy. Then they climbed back onto the workbench and they began stitching, cutting, and shaping leather with even more energy than before. The shoemaker and his wife watched in awe. When the elves finished the last pair of shoes, they looked at each other with bright, happy eyes.
Our work in this home is done.
The other nodded and added,
They have all they need now. Let's go help another house.
Still smiling, the 2 elves hopped down from the workbench and slipped quietly out the door, and from that night on, they never returned. The shoemaker and his wife stood together, feeling peaceful and grateful. They knew the elves had given them more than shoes, they had given them a new beginning. From then on, the shoemaker's shop stayed busy, and the couple lived comfortably for the rest of their days. And though the elves never came back, the shoemaker and his wife never forgot the tiny helpers who had changed their lives forever.